Hi guys, welcome to another video by me, Nikki Jackson, and in today's video we are going to be continuing on with my assignment painting for my illustration degree. So here it is all sketched out on my birchwood panel, and I'm starting off with painting the sky. Now I wanted to do a nice light grey, and it's going to be snowing, so I find that's a really nice effect, the grey with the little spots of white snow. So I'm just laying in some grey and I lighten it up with a bit of white, and now I'm painting in the snow on the hill, just using regular craft paint for this. I think most of my brand is Do Crafts Artiste, and some of them are Americana and Anita's as well. So I'm going in with a nice big brush, and it's a sable brush. I find these are perfect for blending. They're meant to be for watercolour, but they work just as well for acrylic as long as you wash them out thoroughly after each use. So here I am putting on another layer using the grey and adding in some white. These first stages are always super messy and look super boring, but they set the foundation for the whole painting. So these are pretty much highlights of the painting journey that I took to complete this. Obviously this took way longer than the length of the video, but I've kind of picked out different highlights to show you the different elements of the painting, and I thought I would do it this way rather than speeding it up, because then you get to see me painting it properly in kind of real time, but just the selected highlights. So I'm blocking in the cottage in white. I always do this to give it a good base. So just putting in the paint for the roof. So I decided to make the hill come a bit more level with the cottage, so I'm just adding that in. So fast forward quite a bit, and now I'm putting in the little flakes of snow just made of little round dots, and I think that gives it a really lovely look, especially against the grey sky. So I'm using a really fine sable watercolour brush to do that. So now I'm putting in another layer of white for the cottage. This will be the base colour along with Titan Buff, which I shall use shortly. So now we're on to the roof. I've picked a nice dark brown colour, and with all of these layers I do lots of blending, but that usually comes nearer the end. It's mainly blocking in colours to begin with to get the base down, and then I do the highlights and shading at the end on the last sort of layers. So then we've got one layer blocked in. So now I'm going in with the Titan Buff on the main part of the cottage. This is a really nice kind of beigey colour, and it blends really well with white, and I like to use that as my kind of shadow colour. And kind of mid-tone really, actually. I spend quite a while blending this part of the cottage, and blending it between the white, the Titan Buff, and a little bit of brown as well. As you can see, I'm adding in the brown. I'm using wet in wet technique so that I can blend it out really nice, and I also used a bit of extra water to thin it down a little, because the room was quite warm at the time, so it was drying super quick. So I've added a bit of water just to help blend it out. So I've got my shadows coming in from the right hand side, so putting that there and blending it out into the white and Titan Buff. So now I'm going over with the water and just sort of feathering it out to make it a nice blended tone. So now I'm starting to work on the doggies. These are Ellie and Sky, our lovely Dalmatians, and Sky, the youngest, which is on the left, she's now overtaken our eldest in height. So I've drawn her there. She's always trying to get Ellie to play with her, and so there she is standing in the snow and trying to get Ellie to get up and have a play with her, which is what she's like at home. So I thought it'd be fun to show them kind of sunk into the snow with their little paws. So again, I'm just blocking them in white to begin with to give a good base, and of course Dalmatians are white anyway, so that works out really good. So now I'm adding in the spots, and Sky has black spots and lots of them. She has a big black patch over her eye and her ear on one side, so I had to get that in. That's her main characteristics of her marking, so I wanted to put that in there. And I had real fun doing the spots as well. I did it in 2 rounds, as you'll see coming up. Did some basic ones and then kind of built on those to make them more true to life. Now for this assignment we were required to create this painting or a illustration to represent introducing ourselves to our tutoring and kind of sharing our passions and interests. So I think I talked about this in the previous video when I was sketching this out, but each of the different elements represent something, and for mine I chose my doggies because I love animals, I love dogs, and they're a big influence for my work. And the house kind of represents me, and I usually put a cottage in my paintings somewhere, so I had to include that. And I love doing landscape paintings, so of course the whole thing is a landscape. And I love doing winter scenes, and I also love spring, so I managed to include both of those in this painting, as you'll see a bit later on. And yeah, so I put a kind of arch of roses over the cottage, and that represents the spring, like I said, and also growth, because I actually did those in a different medium, as you'll see coming up, and they are done, they're done in a different supply, so that represents growth for me and what I want to achieve in the course, and just trying out new things really. So I'm really pleased with how it came out, and you'll see a bit later on those elements. So now I'm working on painting in Ellie, and she is a brown spotted Dalmatian, they call it liver spotted, and I'm just putting in her spots very roughly and her nose. And now I'm putting in some shading onto Sky. I usually shade with brown, I find it gives a really nice soft look and it's easy to blend in with the colours that I use. Now both of them have pink collars because I love pink, and it suits them so well with their lovely white spotty coats. So I chose 2 slightly different pinks to paint their collars with, and you can see I've already started Ellie's there on the right, and now I'm putting in Sky's one as well. I went for a slightly lighter pink for hers. So here I am adding a bit more definition to those spots. Dalmatian spots tend to run into each other, so I wanted to get that across and make them a little bit more true to life. And as I said, Sky's got lots of spots, so I had to draw or paint all those in. I think it came out pretty good. Ellie's hardly got any spots really compared to Sky, so I didn't need to do too many for her. So here I am putting in the shadows in the snow where their little paws have sunk in, and using a mix of grey and some white, and just blending that out to make it look a bit more like they're standing in the snow. So there it is, all blended out. It took a little while, but I got there. So you can see I've added a bit of shading kind of for the pathway from the cottage down to the doggies. Now I'm kind of refining Ellie's spots and her ear there and her nose. Using a nice brown. So now I'm putting in the details on the cottage. So we've got two little windows. They're my signature style for doing windows, and a nice brown door. So I block in a couple of layers of that. And here I am just adding in a little bit more white to blend in for the snow, using that big brush again and just blending it out nicely. You can see that I've added in some wooden posts as well, and that's going to be for the fence. Got to keep those doggies in and make sure they don't run away. So there we go, adding in another layer for the door. So now I'm drawing in the wire for the fence, just using graphite pencil for that. Now for the outline, I normally use charcoal pencil. I either do the whole thing in charcoal pencil or just regular pencil, and I decided to mix it up for this painting because I wanted part of my old style, and also I wanted a delicate finish for the doggies. I didn't want to kind of blend it out too much and have too thicker lines around them. I wanted it to be quite refined, so I just used graphite for those, and used charcoal pencil for the cottage. So now I'm showing you some footage of me working on the roses that are going to go around the cottage. I used Zig real clean colour brush pens. I think they're called real brush pens. They are water-based, vibrant brush markers. They are gorgeous colours, and I have a selection of brights and kind of more muted vintagey tones. So I made a selection of nice kind of muted ones to do in the whimsical roses, and I'm just sort of doing layers for the leaves there. And this is on watercolour paper. If you remember, I did some experiments in another video and found out what would work with working with these pens using water and matte medium, because I wanted to use the matte medium to glue them on. So I decided watercolour paper won out because it's nice and sturdy and hopefully it would hold. So I've added some sparkly glitter on the roses, and gonna cut them all out now, ready to stick on. And I'm now just doing some finishing touches, adding a little bit of snow to the top of the cottage, and I added some on the top of the fence posts as well. Just kind of gives it an extra bit of charm, I think. So here I am adding the charcoal pencil. I went in quite heavy to begin with and decided to lighten it up quite a bit. You can see I'm erasing some of it there, just to lighten it up a little bit. I didn't want the lines to be too heavy. So now I'm cutting out all those little roses and going to put them as an archway over the cottage. So I did use gel matte medium. I'll use Liquitex to stick them down. I was very careful not to get matte medium on the top of the roses. I just did it on the bottom to stick them down. I would probably need to do more experimenting if I was wanting to varnish this painting, but I'm going to leave it raw as it is. So so I just stuck them down on one side, and that works for this particular painting. So I'm sticking them all down, and I decided to go over them again with the glitter pen, as they kind of looked a little faded after they'd been cut out. So just going in and adding that again. I feel like this really worked. I was a bit worried that they'd be a bit too bold and that they wouldn't blend in enough into the painting, but I think they turned out really well. I made sure to do them quite small and cut quite close to the coloured lines so that there wasn't much paper showing. And I've just added in some foliage to connect the roses, and finishing off with my signature little heart on the roof of the cottage. And then I go around it with some charcoal pencil and then lighten it up with a bit of a eraser, and then that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments what you thought, and don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you liked it. This will now be scanned and printed onto a greetings card to send to my tutor for my first assignment. So thanks so much for joining me, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the journey, and like I said, let me know in the comments. Thanks so much, guys. See you again soon. Bye.